Hey, everybody. Welcome to September 12th, 2023. Can you believe it's 2023 already? I was born in the late 1900s. You too, Steve. They're going to put us in the same category, call us old timers.
There- How about that one? I hadn't thought about that.
Back in the late 1900s, when we were born, mules and donkeys were an afterthought, but today folks are loving them. And so every week on Tuesday, we get together to talk about mules and donkeys and get y'all caught up on to speed on the things that Steve was doing in those late 1900s there. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards, and we are so glad that you're hanging out with us, spending a little bit of time with us. And yeah, we sure would love to hear from you. If this is your first time ever watching, even if you're watching on the replay, hello. We're so glad that you're here, and we would love to hear from you. Would you please put your name in the comment section, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like? That would be a great way for us to say howdy to you, get to know you, and you know, see who else is out there in the mule and donkey community. The second thing is that any and every mule and donkey question that you've got, put that in the comments section. If you're watching the replay, we do our best to get to those questions as well. So even if this is in the future, hello from the past, and we are happy to answer as many questions as we can, so as long as we see them, and we work hard to. And the third thing that we ask is that you share the broadcast with friends and family so that it doesn't get awkward around the table when folks done find out that you're getting results with your mule and donkey, and they say, how you been doing this? And you say, I've been listening to Steve Edwards. Hey, you didn't tell me you were listening to Steve Edwards. Who is this Steve Edwards? And all of a sudden it just gets awkward, and we don't want that for you. So invite your friends and family. Tell them that you have found the best thing since sliced bread, and that is 1 hour dedicated every single week to giving you answers so that you can get out there, gain the trust of your animal, get results in your training. Steve, how have you been since last week?
Well, we're still up here in Montana at the Denn Ranch and still trying to chase them elk around. We finally had some conversations with some elk last night. They've been pretty quiet. And when I say conversations, this is their mating season. And so they're, bugling, and cows are going, meow, 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 and the guys are going, oh, things like this. They haven't been doing that. They just started up last night. And wouldn't you know it, it's only a couple of days before we'll be heading back to Arizona come Thursday morning. And them out get a reprieve, maybe, or maybe they may fall in front of me this morning, this next couple of days. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, we're here to talk mules and donkeys, and matter of fact, I can look out the window right now, and I can see a couple mules and a couple donkeys here on the Denn Ranch.
That's right. Hey, and y'all, if you missed our conversation with Ron Denn, you can go to YouTube, look for Queen Valley Mule Ranch. One of our most recent live episodes was a conversation with Ron. I'll find it here and I'll put that in the comment section so y'all can go back and watch it. Really fun conversation, really great conversation. Highly recommend you go back and check that out. But we're going to get to saying hello to people who are hanging out with us, and we'll get to some questions here as well. So first and foremost, I want to say hello to Hannah, watching from Dunedin, Florida, 90 degrees, gorgeous. So, well, I mean, it's just my normal hairdo, Hannah, but I appreciate that. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 65 degrees, sunny and beautiful riding weather. Sherman Johnson is watching from Norman, Oklahoma, 72 degrees. Rain is coming in. Marcia is watching from sunny and clear Virginia. We finally got rain and the temps are cooling down. The mules are happy. Christina is watching from Alberta, Canada, and that means we've gone international. It is hot and dry there, she says. Bill is watching and simultaneously sharing to mule pages in Ohio and Indiana. 76 degrees where he is with some clouds. Lamar is watching from Price, Utah. Cloudy and cool. Dave O'Brien, he's been giving us updates on his mule. Hello from East Texas, 82 degrees and nice. Waiting on some rain. Man, if we were waiting on rain here, we would be waiting forever. It teases us in Arizona, constantly teases us. Rory is watching from Southwest Ohio, a little bit of rain and 73. Judy is watching from Gazelle, California, about 78 degrees and smoky. Just brought home a weaned mule yesterday. Wish me luck. Good luck, Steve. Do you have any recommendations or any thoughts about bringing home a just weaned mule?
Good for you. Congratulations. Hey, is it a Molly or is it a John Mule? Let me know. So here's the deal. Recommendation number one. Never, ever, ever tie your baby up to something hard and tight. If they pull back, they can pull their neck out of place, back out of place. Number two, always use the come along hitch. Always. Everywhere you go, no halters. Halters are going to teach little bad habits that you don't want. And we can visit with that about later. Number three, this is really important. If you want straight legs on your babies, you have to keep the feet balanced, trimmed up, this sort of thing. I don't have to remind you all, which I'm going to go ahead and remind you, about the mule that was left back in the mountains up here in Montana because he had sore feet. Yep. And I'll give you the update on that. The veterinarian, I actually talked to the guy that had used that mule and had to leave him back in. A veterinarian, he just really feels bad about it. And he said he ain't going to let that happen again, but he's going to make sure that people understand you've got to chew these mules. Don't let anybody tell you that they don't have to chew their mules. I hear it at different times, and people don't see what they're happening in the future. You know, it's gonna happen. So do that with your baby. Feed them correctly. You know, and don't put them out with other animals. Put them in a 20 by 20 stall. Let them start depending upon you. But hey, if it's a John Mule, you need to get him brain surgery, and he needs to get cut, castrated. Really important. I really see no difference between John Mules and Molly Mules. I've trained a lot of both of them. I've owned a lot of both of them. And it comes to this. Main thing you want to think about. Disposition, disposition, disposition. Makes no difference a John Mule or a Molly Mule. John Mule being a boy, Molly Mule being a girl.
When you say disposition, what do you mean?
All right. Willingness. Willingness to stand still and quiet when you ask them to. Willingness to come over to the gate. Willingness to be where you want them to be. Now, one thing you always want to remember is they're never allowed to come into your space. Your mules need to think about this. This is my space. This is your space. You are the herd leader, and they're never allowed to come in. Willingness to pick up all 4 feet. Disposition is there. Disposition to lead them from A to B. That's disposition. You know, you still need to use your tools, your come alongs and your bits and stuff, but you want a willing disposition that's willing to say, hey, okay, let's do it. Now, I don't mind a little bit of hesitation. I don't want to get into a fight. A little bit of hesitate. Well, I'm not quite sure I want to do that. But then you give them another little bump and they go on. Okay. So willing to be part of being your partner. You know, and it's really tough because you're a predator and they are a prey animal. So you have to deal with that fence and hurdle it.
Awesome. Rory says the system's locking up here. Is that happening elsewhere? Would you give us a heads up if you're having trouble seeing us? Let me know, and we'll take a look. Continuing
what we're
on,
seeing is kind of jerking things.
Is it glitchy a little bit?
You're jerking and I'm jerking. Yeah, it's kind
okay.
of.
I may have some things trying to upload here on my computer. I'll see if I can get it to slow down here.
Kind of like the old song, do the jerk.
Or the cool jerk. I'm the king of the cool jerk.
Cool jerk, yeah.
Let's see here. Cruising right along. Deborah is watching from southern Indiana where it's 68 and cool and cloudy. Cowboy Ken is watching from 77 Connecticut, but it's humid. Lane says, Steve, would you please explain the Baling Twine Tension with the Surcingle on Halter Work?
Okay, so your baling twine goes from the bottom of your halter, where your lead rope usually goes, going back to the rings on your surcingle. And each one, you have two of them, one on the right and one on the left, and they're tied into those rings. Now, when you do this, your mule is standing there normal. And when you tighten it up, you barely want to touch the hay twine to feel a little bit of tightness. You never ever want to make one do this. Okay? You always want to adjust the baling twine to the halter, to the surcingle, with just a little bit of tension. So you got your baling twine, and you just barely touch it. You should feel it almost going boing. If it's too loose and they can get their head down, then that's another adjustment. If they can get their head down, that means you need to take it up a little bit. Now, you never, ever want to make them with your reins or with your halter. Never want to pull on them. Always put just enough pressure that it makes them uncomfortable. Now, why do we use the halter first in the surcingle? We use the halter because mules and donkeys communicate and do a better job of foundational training from their nose, not from the bit. That's why it's extremely important that you use the come along to start with. The come along foundational training, when they get to where they're being consistent and you're barely picking up the lead rope and they're moving to the right and the left, then you can start looking at going into the surcingle. So hopefully that makes sense to you. What happens is when you over pull or over tighten, is it makes all five major neck muscles tight. They'll tighten it right up. They get that from their daddy, the donkey. So the neck muscle along the top of the crest of the neck, down along through the center of the neck, the one along the esophagus, and the two along the shoulder. They'll tighten those up. And the reason they do that is to protect themselves, to keep you from pulling on them. It makes them extremely uncomfortable when you do that. So that's why the come along rope is so important, because the come along gives them release, gives them relief. The halter constantly hanging on their nose does not give them relief. But when you use the come along rope to start with, what that does then, it gives them relief, and they start seeing that, okay, as soon as they feel the two knots from the halter, they get their head down and nose on the vertical. And that's the last part we want to think about, is the throat latch being loose, so that when the mule is got his head down with the neck muscles, then with the pressure a little bit on his nose, he gets his head down. That's when you know they're listening to the bit, they're listening to the halter.
Awesome. Folks, I worked on the stream. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Y'all can let me know. I think it's gotten a little bit better, so y'all let me know. Let's see here. We had a few people saying that, yeah, they were having problems. All right, scrolling back up. Okay, let's see. David Scholl, good morning from Australia, Queensland, Australia. Good morning, Mr. Scholl. It's good to have you here. Barbara is watching. Hi, Dave and Steve. Steve, thank you so much for the advice this weekend. You helped me have a wonderful camping experience with my Molly. I do have one more question. Daisy has been loading in the trailer, no problem, all summer, but we haven't gone anywhere. When we went to load to leave for the campground, she wouldn't go near the trailer, nor would she go near the trailer at the campsite. I did get her in both times. I used your halter as I can't keep the come along in the trailer. It is like she saw us loading up the coolers and said, "Nope, not going." What are your thoughts?
Always use the come along rope. All right. It's okay to have the halter with you when you get in the trailer, but the come along rope will give you a lot more communication value. Yes, you were able, and get this point, folks, get this, this is important. Yes, you were able to use the halter this time. But you see, just like all the other times when you were able to load her and now you get ready to go on the campground, she was actually showing you and telling you little things like ain't gonna happen, ain't gonna happen. But we don't read those things. I need you all to look for the smallest thing that's happening. Maybe in your hand with the lead rope, you could feel a little bit of pressure. Maybe the mule looked off to the right and you didn't catch it. Maybe the mule kind of hesitated and you didn't catch it. You gave them a bump, but they were just testing you. It doesn't just happen, folks. It is coming. Okay. And here it is. So here's what I would do. I got my trailer. I'm going to load up. And Dave, I think we got some pictures of one lady who said she started taking her mule in with the come along rope, and the mule liked to be looking outside the back way, which I tell you on a lot that happens. And she took the come along rope off, and the mule's happy. They don't like being tied in those things, folks. They really like to be, the majority of mules really like to look and see which way they're going. So you get some mules that don't mind to be snug up, and you get some mules want to look out the back way. Okay. So number one, don't just use the halter when you're having problems. Put that come along hitch on there. If nothing else, you can take and loosen up the halter, let it kind of drop down below the muzzle and let it kind of hang there until you get them in a trailer, and then bump them to make sure they understand to stand still. Then put the halter on, then tie them off. That you can do. But use that come along rope. That rope halter is just going to get you in trouble. And if you're thinking you're doing okay, and basically you're kind of doing okay, but you're going to have problems. So do yourself a favor, come along hitch. Anytime you're going to someplace new, folks, these mules will start saying, "What's that? What's that? What's this? What's that?" And that's when the come along hitch says, "No, what's that? No, what's this? Is pay attention to me." There you are.
All right. Nikki is watching from Sedona, Arizona. Temps around 85. Judy is watching. Says it's a Molly. She would grow to about 14.3 and she is a love. Never been tied but has been haltered. I insisted when I bought her last month that they trim her and they did.
Good deal. Going back to the lady with the trailer loading and camp and this sort of thing, she actually had talked to me before and sent me a couple pictures. She was a little concerned about riding her. And I said, go back to your ground foundation. Folks, when you go into a new campground or something like that, they're going to want to know what's going on. So go to your ground foundation, use your come along rope and walk them around. Now, down here in the cabin we're staying at, Dave, there's a picture of the Duke, John Wayne. And in the back is a horse. And here's a picture of John Wayne. And it says, being scared is not wanting to saddle up your horse, but doing it anyway. Okay? No. Having courage is not wanting to saddle up your horse, but doing it anyway. Listen, folks, forget about the old adage of get back on or get on there and ride. Don't do that. Okay. I'm trying to give you a new way. Do it from the ground. You're safer, and the mule understands it more. They understand it more. So use that come along rope and be courageous. If your gut cell tells you you don't need to be in that saddle, don't get in that saddle.
All right. Let's see here. Cruising right along. Jody is watching from Walla Walla. Beautiful, 79 degrees. We are going to Ron's next weekend. How fun. Linda is here, by the way, online with you on Facebook, having no problems. Good. I'm glad these have cleared up. Tracy is watching from very cool Queensland, Australia this morning, 37.4. Merlin is watching from northwest Minnesota, about 68 degrees and sunny. We got about quarter inch of rain yesterday. Been busy canning. God blessed us with a great garden this year, and we have given away a lot of produce to people that need it. How awesome. Steve, what do you guys have going in your garden right now? Do you know?
I got to tell you, buddy, my wife didn't do much of a garden this year. Her very best friend that she's known for 40 some years, she passed away, about 3 months ago or so. But my wife went in every day to start with, and almost every other day after that, every day to go in and spend time with Gracie. And Gracie was in a care center, and the Lord finally took her home. Very godly woman. But my wife did not get a garden in this year, mainly because she was spending, well, as you know, we live clear out where we do. So it's an hour in, hour out, and then about 3 to 4 hours a day with Gracie. So she was spending up to 6 hours a day with Grace. So her extra time with gardening didn't work. So God blessed us with money to buy vegetables. Not as good, but then we do.
Very good. Awesome. Well, Merlin, send some of that produce to Steve.
Yeah,
It,
the canned goods, the canned green beans. Oh man, yeah, and that's really good stuff. What's the gal's name in BC? She's one of the first ones that chimed in.
today,
Yeah,
let's see here.
she was
Christina?
here. Christina, yeah, she really tries hard. She was here at Denn's, and folks, you heard one of the other clients say earlier that she's coming to Ron's next week. Well, Ron is here in Montana, and if you all are in this Montana country, Idaho, in through there, Washington, Ron Den is a good place to be able to come and spend time with mules and donkeys and learn. And that's one thing he does here. And he's also got camping and stuff like that. But like this lady here, she's going to be coming here and learning about mules and donkeys. And Ron's prices are really inexpensive. You could spend anywhere from probably about $300 a day, upwards of $600 a day, depending on what you're going to be doing. Well worth it. And he's got mules and donkeys here. So you can really learn a lot.
Awesome. Nikki let's see, Nikki. I already said Nikki. Let's see here. Jump back up. That's what it was. David Pingelly, nice day here in Manchester, Georgia. Good to see and hear you guys again. Hey, it's good to be
I'm going to
seen
be
and
spending
heard.
some time with David.
Oh, really? When?
Yeah, when I go to the American Mule and American Mule and Bluegrass Festival,
Yeah.
we're going to fly in and see Dave first and spend some time with him and his wife, drink some of that good come along coffee, and I'll be sending you some pictures. He's got a couple hot rods as well, a 32 Ford and another Ford, I think a 38, I think it is.
How
Drinking some
fun.
of that good coffee.
How fun. That'll be great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Send pics. Let's see here. Marcia says it's raining again in Virginia. Yay. Christina says, I have no mule, and I have no mule, and he did really well. Then he saw the vet, and things went downhill. I have a new mule. It's like the previous training was gone and having a really hard time putting the come along rope on him now. What do you suggest when a mule is hard to put the come along rope on?
Okay, well, here's the deal. Don't become a monster. Your mule is scared and this sort of thing. So go up and just pet and scratch on that mule. Always approach the shoulder. Now, when you do that, the mule is going to be kind of having his head up and a little concerned. Pet and scratch on that mule and do everything 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm going to come in and the mule's going to be a little concerned at first. And I'm going to pet and scratch on the shoulder, and I'm going to walk away, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to pet and scratch on the shoulder. That's number 2. And number 3, I turn around and come back, and I'm pet and scratching the shoulder. Now, what I'm doing is building a trust back again, starting from me, the predator, which is what the veterinarian ended up being, a tough one, and going up and petting and scratching again. Now, as I get down toward my 3, 6, 9, 12, I'm coming to 12, and the mule is starting to relax. Remember, folks, when a mule has it, the head is down, the big eyes are big and brown, and they're relaxed. Okay. When they do that, take your come along rope, put it on your arm at your elbow, and keep your hands in close to where it's part of you. Okay. And then you can use your hand to rub and scratch, and then eventually pull the come along hitch off and rub and scratch with that come along rope. And they'll start seeing it's part of it. Now, that's one thing you can do. If the mule is still really obstinate and not wanting to deal with you, okay, let's do this. Let's change this. He's in a 20 by 20 pen and not wanting to be messed with. So get back from a distance, take your come along rope, toss it out toward the ribs, toss it out toward the feet, toss it out toward the head, toss it around, toss around. When the mule starts to relax, and always get this in your mind, when the mule has it, has an understanding of what you're doing, and the mule drops his head and relaxes, now we can go 1, 2, 3. So I throw the rope 1, the mule's head is down. I throw the rope 2, the mule's head is down. Now, when I say throw the rope, folks, I'm not saying throw the whole rope at him, okay? I'm saying hold on to part of the rope and just toss it out. That's an extension of your body, okay? And toss it out. The key thing is, do they have it? Head down, nose on vertical. So you're going to have to start there. Now, I know a lot of veterinarians don't have a lot of time and this sort of thing, but I'm going to tell you, folks, when you're doing vet work or having a hard time with the one shoeing, your buddy is going to be that twitch. The twitch will get you total relaxation. The twitch will give you the relaxation of the whole body. It's a natural endorphin. And before I let any vets or anything like that do any work around them, I always have my mules, always do twitch trained. Dave can tell you it's a wonderful thing, but that's going to be one of the things you're going to have to end up doing. All of you should be doing, all your mules should be twitch trained and create natural endorphins to float teeth, to do any type of vet work. You know, anytime you stick a needle in one, all of you, none of you go, oh, that felt good. No, all of you will jerk a little bit, okay? It's like a bee sting at first. So don't kid yourself. That come along rope is going to be an awesome thing, but it happens all the time. People don't use the come along rope. After the veterinarian's done, they got to have that come along rope on there and then go to work on them right off the bat. Anytime you got veterinarian work, anytime you get any type of shoeing, put the come along rope on there and insist that you be able to communicate with that come along rope.
Awesome. Next question. This one came in on YouTube. This one's from Elaine. She says, "What's the best feed in Tennessee for mules? I can't find Lake and Light in our area."
Yeah. Well, here it is, folks. What Lake and Light is a pellet that me and Chuck Lakin kind of devised and started putting together 30 years ago when Chuck was still alive. So read the ingredients on the article that I put together called Mules Cannot Stand Prosperity. Take that ingredients to your feed store and say, what do you have close to this? Now, what makes this so different? What makes this so different? This is the vitamins and the minerals that your mules will need in your area. Now, get that in your mind, in your area, that will help your mule have a good, healthy life. Just like you and I. I take vitamins. I got a particular vitamin I like to use. I got a particular supplement I like to use, and this sort of thing. And that's because when I had a blood test with my yearly exam, they told me I was vitamin whatever it is deficient. So what you need to do, folks, take your mules, have the vet look at them, do a hair follicle test or do a blood test. And that way you know exactly what your mule needs. Just like you and I, some of you can eat a lot of carbohydrates and stay thin. When you be like me, you eat carbohydrates and you're fat. Okay, so you take your mule and have your vet look at him and say, okay, do the fair hair follicle test or do the blood test and know what they are vitamin deficient in.
Put that link in the comment section for y'all so you can check it out. Let's see here. Frank is watching from rainy North Carolina where it's 79 degrees. Marcia says, what are the articles in the background of Steve? Can we see photos of Steve with his mules when he was younger? Is that what those are, Steve?
No, that's those are actually Ron Denn back there. And it's in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where Ron was when he done this. It says a Minnesota club, Bucksmiths. And Ron has for a lot of years tried to tell people there's no such thing as a stubborn mule. Mules are not stubborn, and a lot of other things. And these are some articles that he was put together. I forget what year that was. Looks like it might be in 2001. But yeah, Ron would be he's a wealth of knowledge. And so a lot of you that have been to my clinics, I've done 2 clinics up here at Ron's in Superior, Montana. You need to spend a little time with Ron and listen to his podcast that we done with him. We're going to be doing more podcasts, huh, Dave? We got different people coming up. We did the one with Dave and Di from Australia. We got some coming up from.
We got Marty Ray already scheduled, so we got one with Marty Ray coming up.
Marty Ray, and then what's his name that went across America on his mule?
Bernie Harberts.
Bernie Harbor, there you are, And so, and we've got several other people, folks that are up and coming that you can kind of get some knowledge from. So we just want to help you, right, Dave? You mean
that's right.
Get this knowledge and go with it. It's really important.
That's it. Let's see here. What do you suggest? What do you suggest when the mule? Or did we already? Oh, we already read that one. Okay, now we're getting caught up. Deborah is watching. Hi, Steve. I bought a well-broke 17 hands, 11-year-old. Oh, no, 17 hands, John. Blah, blah, blah. 17 hands, 11-year-old John 3 years ago. I am doing groundwork with your come-along, but my mind is preventing me from getting on him. I'm older and very green. What insight would you have for Deborah, Steve?
Well, welcome to the world of let's be smart about this. How do you know it's well broke? It could be just a great disposition. How do I know if he's well trained or not, or has a really good foundation? And that's important for you all to understand. Is if in a 10-foot circle he turns on turns on the forehand, side passes, and turns on the hindquarters, stops and backs up easy. That tells me he got a good start. And as we get older, we start getting smarter. Another thing is that as we get older, things break easy. As Dave just found out, he's got he put his back out of place really easy. Yeah, it happens.
No fun.
The older we get, things start breaking up. So congratulations. Do your groundwork. Stand up on a step stool to get up kind of above your mule a little bit. If you're really concerned, get your granddaughter out there. She probably, if you got a granddaughter, she'll probably go out there and ride and do just fine. But good for you for not climbing on. Do all your other basics and start building your courage up. It's not important that you ride, folks. It's important that you have the courage to do that. But it's important that you spend time on the ground. Just like the other lady we just talking with, she went to load and the mule always loaded before. And now it wouldn't. It happens. That comes up, just like the T-shirt we have. Every day is a different day with a mule and donkey. It happens, So get in there and take your time. Enjoy it. That's what's important.
Let's see here. Judy says, will your come along rope help me with a recently purchased 14-year-old who obnoxiously had this bad habit of bolting and running away like she's in the Kentucky Derby? I'm assuming they mean a mule or a donkey here and not a 14-year-old eighth grader. I haven't had this happen to me since I was a child, and I have tried a rope knotted halter and even a chain, and I still couldn't keep her under control. So I thought of you and your come along rope. It might help me with stopping her and this bad habit. Thank you from Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Come along rope is going to be everybody's salvation when it comes down to these mules. As you've already heard, the chain and the knotted halter. Unfortunately, the knotted halter, most folks don't understand the knots. They're worried about this great big piece hanging off the halter on the bottom. It doesn't look like to them that it fits, yada, yada. But the key thing on the halter is the two knots on the nose, 2 fingers above the nostril, and underneath the chin and directly behind the pole behind the ears. Will it come along help? Absolutely. Now, anytime you put that come along, folks, on, always remember this. We want straightness. Straightness. The mule is not allowed to look to the right. It's too late. He's already gone. Not allowed to look to the left. It's too late. He's already gone. It's up to you and your timing. If you have good timing, you're able to roll your wrist and you'll have it. Now, when you do this, do it inside the corral. Start with looking straight ahead. The mule is to be looking straight ahead. If he looks to the right, bump. Left, bump. In other words, fix it before it becomes a problem. Okay? Fix it before it becomes a problem. That's what you got to do. Now, if they've already pulling you in your mule skiing, I call it, it's too late. It's not the mule's fault. It's your fault because of your timing. And yes, I know everybody uses those chains, which I hate. I even see them using in shows. Horse people using techniques on mules. And I hate seeing mules at shows when we got horse judges. Of course, there's not a lot of people knows how to judge a mule. But anyway, yes, use the come along hitch. Get the kit. Always get the kit. Why is that? Because it has a how-to video to get it done right. Use that.
So when Steve talks about the kit, what he's talking about is the Mule Ground Foundation Starter Kit. It comes with the adjustable rope halter, which occasionally you'll need, but for the most part, during your initial ground foundation training, you just put it up on the wall. If you don't want to tie them up with a come along rope, and so you may use the rope halter here or there with a lead rope, but comes with the adjustable rope halter, the come along rope, which is your primary communication and training tool, and then a video called Problem Mule Building a New Foundation, and it walks you through all of the ground foundation steps that you're going to want to go through. So normally we don't say, hey, y'all need to buy this, y'all need to buy that. We just share information and let y'all make a decision on what you want to do. We do say and encourage strongly that if you're going to go out there and train, get the come along rope. It is the single best investment you'll make in yourself and in your animal when you talk about just how affordable it is and the amount of work it's going to do on your behalf. So I'll put a link in the comment section so y'all can check that out. It's a really, really great purchase, and y'all are going to love it. Marcia said she liked the Ron program that we did. So, yeah, that was great. Diana is watching and got a question here from Linda. Says, since Theo's death, I'm thinking of... Theo was her mule. Since Theo's death, I'm thinking of doing some training on my donkey, Millie. She is 16 years old, a standard-sized burro, has fat pads, and has always worked as a professional buddy for mares and with babies at side. Number one, is she too old to learn to drive at 16? Number two, do you have videos on your website? And number three, do you sell driving tack that would work for her if I can get her?
Yes, she's not too old. She's perfect. She's great. The fat packets, yep, that's from people's stupidity of just turn them out and let them eat whatever, okay? that happens. Do I have driving videos? Yes. You can go online there, and Dave can set it up there. May even give you a way to get to it. But it's called "Communicating Through the Lines." A great video, and you'll see me working with a young lady with her donkey, and then we also have donkey foundational training videos that'll help you out as well. So those two right there. But you know as well as I do, start with your come along hitch. Everything should start from there. Donkeys and mules all learn from their nose. Start from the nose and work your way up.
Working on getting that link right there. But yeah, it's a instructional video on the website. And yep, there it is in the comment section. Y'all can check that out. Next question. This one came in from Lisa. She says, I've been trying to look for a video of you showing how to use the mule rider's martingale while you're on the mule's back. My mule doesn't have a problem keeping her head down. I'm trying to teach her to neck rein. She's 11 years old. Do you have such a video?
Well, we've actually got different parts of the video, like with how to communicate. There's some information there. Probably the one that's going to be the most useful to you in a lot of ways is basic equitation, which will give you a lot of information that'll help you out using your legs and your hands and this sort of thing. And then there are, we've got a lot of videos out there. There are a lot of spotty ones here and there. Dave is starting to organize everything in categories. So you could probably go to where it's the category Martingale and pick up a lot of information there too.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see here. Moving right along. Diana is watching from Northern California. We've got Christina says, thank you, Steve. Marcia says, here in Virginia, Neutrina Triumph Complete or Senior is available. Linda says, thank you very much. I will look for communicating through the lines. The next question I have, this one came in on YouTube from David. He says, can you feed a mule crushed corn?
I prefer not to feed crushed corn. I think it has a well, and I've seen it. I've seen a lot of problems with them getting impacted, colicky because of the crushed corn. Remember, it's a carbohydrate, and these animals don't need it. I would just feed a good quality whole oat when you get ready to ride. I always suggest to people that you're getting ready to go in the saddle and you're going to be riding 3, 4, 5 hours. Give them the energy, and they get that energy from that whole oats and put the morale on their nose and let them eat, and that'll work out really good.
Next question comes in from DJ. He says, are all mules inclined to be hard to catch? I would love to own one, but they are so smart and cunning. Gotta be one of God's favorite animals.
Yeah, definitely a kind of a funny thing when it comes to God and that, because it was man that put the donkey and the mule together. So yeah, are they hard to catch? Even horses and donkeys are all hard to catch because we, the man, or the person, the predator, always do it incorrectly. Never, when you walk up to an animal, don't walk up to the nose. Always walk up to the neutral zone, the shoulder. That is a neutral zone. When you see two animals together and they're buddies, they're at each other's shoulders and they're nibbling on each other and kind of enjoying each other's company. When you first introduce an equine to another equine, somebody wants to be the top of the pecking order, and you'll hear them squeal, "Wee, I'm the biggest. Wee, no, I'm the biggest," and they go to fussing with one another. So the reason they're hard to catch is people turn them out in a great big pasture. Number one, never, ever, ever, ever put them out there in a pasture. They don't need you. They got everything they need out there. They got their own feed, they got their own water, and they got their friends out there. They do not need you. Get that in your mind. Put them in a 20 by 20 pen. You'll get them to where they can't wait to see you. If you walked up my ranch and you walked out to the 20 pins that are out there and all the mules that used to be out there, they're all at the gate waiting to go. Let's go. Let's go. And they're wanting to go to work. You put them in a big pasture, they don't need you. So not all mules are hard to catch. I've got a lot of stories I can tell you about that.
Awesome. Let's see here. Cruising right along. You had said you wanted to talk a little bit about bits, Steve. What was it that you wanted to discuss today?
Well, one of my clients, she ordered the driving bits, which are foundational training, and they are full cheek, double twisted wire snaffle bit, and they are full cheeked. So in other words, they have bars that come up on both sides of the face, other than like my Mule Rider's Martingale, which just has the O-ring. Now, what's the difference between the two? When I am driving, I have long lines, which will average 12 to 16 feet, depending on if I'm driving 2, 4, or 6. Of course, the longer you go out there, the more line you have to have. Now, when I have that line, I have a lot of leverage. And the way I like to teach you to make the mule comfortable, make the donkey comfortable, is to always allow them to pack the bit without creating one wrinkle or two wrinkles. When they pack the bit, they can pick it up and they can hold it. That's really, really important. They pick it up and they hold the bit, and they're comfortable that way. Same thing with the full cheek bit. Pick it up and pack it. The downside is this: when we're driving, we have long lines, we tend to have more leverage. We end up inadvertently pulling the bit through the mouth. When now we've destroyed what we tried to do, and that was to get the mule and keep the mule soft, and by not creating one wrinkle or two wrinkles and making them brace. So the idea of the full cheek is that when it goes through their mouth, it won't go through their mouth because it hits here. Now, when you do that with a driving bit, it ends up because you're using shorter range, you end up banging their face a lot more on the side because you end up trying to pull more because you can, and pull more to get them to turn. See, there's where the problem is. When you're using my Mule Rider's Martingale and you pick up on the reins to go to the left or to the right, notice I said pick up, never pull. What happens is if you know you're incorrect, you know it this way, because when you pick up on that left rein, you pull the bit through the mouth, you over pull on that mule. When you have the full cheek bit, you can't pull it through, but it starts making them brace because of the pressure on the side of the face. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. Dave will probably have a link there for you to go to our podcast where we actually talk about bits, different types of bits, and this sort of thing. Now, we always want to get softer and softer and softer. And the way we do that is this. As we progress with our snaffle bit, which communicates to the tongue, we start progressing and come away from that. As it communicates to the tongue, it'll also communicate to the bars of the mouth and the corners of the mouth. As we progress, we're going to be using less of the bars, less of the corners of the mouth, and less of the tongue. Hey, Dave, looks like I'm jerking again. My
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit grainy. I'll see what I can do here.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted you to be aware. So anyway, and then as we progress from the snaffle bit, we're going to go to the trail riding bit, which then develops palate communication. So it'll be touching the roof of the mouth to make them be softer. Why touching the roof of the mouth? Because it gets their nose on the vertical, okay? Why touch the tongue? Because it gets their nose on the vertical. Why is that? Because they want to get away from that pressure. So as you progress, you're going to be going to palate communication and the bars of the mouth to have a nice neck rein on your mule or your donkey.
Awesome. Very good. What I think it might be, so I'm working from home today, and my boys got home
Uh,
from school, and I think they're out there firing up the Netflix. So I'll send a message to my wife, let them know, do just one
we're
at a
almost done.
time. Just one at a
Yeah,
time. Okay.
we're almost done.
We're almost, yes, that is correct. We are almost done. Peter is watching from Vass, North Carolina. And Linda says, would a donkey eventually wear a driving bit? I see very small donks on the internet pulling kids' wagons with a britchin and a breastband and a bridle without a bit in it. The person who posted those videos gave the impression that he felt donkeys couldn't or needn't wear a bit.
Yes, they better wear a bit because you ain't going to be able to stop them. There's nothing there that's going to help you with your brakes. And it's critical that you have a bit and you do not use a smooth snaffle bit. Your donkeys are really good at bracing. They can tighten all five major neck muscles and they got you. And they can run just as fast through their shoulder as they can straight ahead. I don't know who this guy is, but folks, you want to be careful with that kind of knowledge. He obviously doesn't understand donkeys.
All right. Next question comes in from Gary. Can I feed equine senior pellets to my aged mule? Thank you, Gary.
Yes, you can. It does a good job, but just like I was saying earlier, folks, how do you know what vitamins and minerals he needs? You know, how about this? How about you just eat spaghetti every day and see how fat you get? You know, that's you don't know. So here's the thing: if your mule needs the vitamins and minerals that's in Equine Senior, and that's a good feed. I mean, it's a good all around feed. But how do you know he really needs it? And the downside is, Dave, when these animals start getting older, it's more difficult to keep weight on them. Their teeth need to be floated, and they just naturally start getting to where they're not keeping weight on, and that happens a lot with the older animals.
All right, let's see here. Linda says Steve sounds like donkeys could cast your kids and their wagons across the moon like in E.T. Linda, sure, you are a character, Linda. We like you. Steve, I think that's everything for today. I went through. I think we've covered everything. Anything else you want to say? I mean, we got a few more minutes here. If folks, if you've got any additional questions, pop them in there. But Steve, you have anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, the other thing to think about too, folks, you're riding a mule, you're not riding a horse. So your saddles, your blankets, your bit, your bridle is all going to work different. I always have people say, your saddle fits two of my mules, but not the other two. Well, tell me what's the matter. Well, it sets up too high. Well, you don't want these saddles to be setting low on some of these mules because then the bars are setting up on top of the fat pocket, which is the sixth and seventh rib area. And then what happens is that fat pocket will knock out a rib and you'll end up having a mule not walking correctly. So on all of your stuff, folks, watch my videos. Don't, especially your horsemen. Now, horsemen have a hard time when it comes down to what they visually see. Oh, it doesn't look right. No. Is it working correctly? That's what's important. Is the saddle staying in place? Okay. Is the saddle, sure, it's up higher, but it's only a visual thing. It's setting on bone structure, not muscle mass. You get a real fat mule, yeah, it's going to be setting up there, but let's do something about the fat mule and take care of some of that problem. So the same thing with your bidding, all that stuff, folks. Remember, you're riding a donkey and a mule, and that's really important to understand. Um, Dave is getting all kinds of programs together so that you all can easily go over to see a halter be adjusted. It's all lined up, bits and things like this. There's a lot of good information there.
Let's see here, Myra. It said you had a question, but I have not seen it, so I'm not quite sure what the issue is. If you want to type it in there, we'll get to it. I did find another question, Steve. Why would you not use copper on a bit?
years ago, I had an old veterinarian tell me that one of the reasons that my mules were gapping their mouth was because of the copper. It creates a type of static electricity. And when I went from copper to, I lost it. It'll come to me in a second. Um,
Sweet iron?
Sweet iron, thank you. When I went from copper to sweet iron, the mouth gapping and stuff like that quit. Originally, they wanted copper, folks. The horsemen wanted copper to create saliva so that the bit is lubricated. You will get better results with a mule that doesn't have the copper in his mouth and it has the sweet iron. They'll still saliva good, and they'll be a lot more comfortable with it.
All right, let's see here. She says, please overlook the typos. All right, I'm looking one more time, Myra. I'm looking one more time to see if I missed it or maybe my program didn't show it up to me.
The other thing I want to mention too, Dave, is hey, folks, my Facebook account, my personal one, not the one for the Mule Ranch, but the personal one was hijacked. And they completely took my whole Facebook page off. So if any of you are getting, it was my brother going hunting. If any of you are getting anything from my Facebook that says, hey, this is Steve Edwards, I want you to send me money or anything like that, let me know. Let Dave know, because that Facebook page was completely hijacked. It is gone. There's nothing there. Don't have any idea what's going on. And by the way, Facebook don't care. Okay. I know some other people that their accounts were hijacked. They were able to get them back a little bit before this, but this person, whoever it was pretty swift in knowing what to do and put my phone number, took away my phone number and all my identification. So take a look. If you have been on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, and somebody's trying to reach out to you, it ain't me. I don't have a Facebook account anymore. We do have a Queen Valley Mule Ranch Facebook account, but I do not have a Steve Edwards Facebook account.
All right, Myra sent in her question. Can I use the mule saddle without the Britchen while my mule recovers from a sore muscle on her rear leg?
You never, ever, ever want to not use, well, I shouldn't say that. Let me back up a little bit. If you're going to be riding, I want you to notice real quick that without a breeching, that saddle is going to go forward in a matter of minutes. Okay. So if you're going uphill, tie the Britchen up. That's okay. But if you're walking around on flat ground, you will see that saddle go ahead very fast. And I want you to just notice it. Put your hand up underneath there. You'll see it. Tighten your rear cinch. Okay. And just remember, folks, riding's not the important part. Give your mule a break. Use the come along hitch and this sort of thing. But I 99% of the time, you really want to use the full breeching. Now, going up a hill, no. It's not that important. But going down a hill, yes, that saddle will go forward. So you will find you're going to be continually getting off and readjusting it, especially if you're using a wool pad. If you're using my pad, it'll take a little bit longer to go forward. But that's the main thing to be watching for. Watch and see that scapula being banged on with the saddle.
All right, here. I think this will be our final question of the day. This one comes from Susan. Hi, Steve and Dave. It's Susan, Lillian's friend, and one of my mules is 47 and pretty thin. I have his teeth checked every 6 months, and he's had a few pulled. I've been given Shorty Timothy pellets, a little bit of beet pulp, and Little Nutrina Safe Choice Senior Feed. Any suggestions to help him put on weight?
You're not going to have him put on weight. It's not going to happen. When they get that old, especially, you're lucky to still have him around. Folks, when they start getting over 20, they start getting where they hardly put on weight. I wished I was that way, don't you, Dave? I put on weight just looking at a hamburger, But no, when they get older, folks, there's no putting on weight. It's just the way nature is. It's the way the Lord blessed them, and so you're pretty much not going to have anything you can do about them losing weight. You're feeding some of the right things. Yes, again, hair follicle test, blood test will tell you what is right and what is not.
There we go. Final question. Myra follows up saying, even on flat ground with a tight rear cinch.
Yep. Watch it. You'll see a lot of my videos at my clinics, and just do this before you get in the saddle. Adjust your saddle in the middle. All right, with my saddle, and then walk around for about 15 minutes and look at it. You'll see that saddle has already gone forward. Why is that? Mules are V-shaped in their shoulders, folks. Horses are A-shaped in their shoulders. So that saddle will go forward because of the way the mule is made. Now, here's the other thing. Because mules carry their weight down low, horses carry their weight up high. Watch the front cinch. Look at it, Myra. That front cinch is at an angle. What happens? As that mule walks, right, left, right, left, right, left, it brings that saddle, it brings that cinch forward, and it makes the saddle go forward. On flat ground, folks, especially if it's flat ground, that saddle will go forward. Okay, so like at the Grand Canyon, one of the things that they practice there is coming up out of the canyon, because it wears so much on these animals. They'll actually tie the breeching up. They do that. That's okay. But here's the thing. You want to keep an eye on that saddle. When it starts to go forward, try to get it adjusted as quickly as possible. All right. Your Britchen balances your saddle. It does not make the saddle stay back. Your rear cinch, it's imperative. It is straight up and down. That's what really keeps your saddle into place.
Awesome. There we go. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it. Always good to have you here with us. Make sure you go to youtube.com. You can find all of our past videos. We talked about 2 today, one with Ron Denn and one with David Scholl. Those are 2 of the videos that we did over the course of the last month or so. Really awesome discussions, and we'll have more discussions like that coming up very soon. You can go to muleranch.com, find everything that we talked about. Steve, any final words?
No, we're good. Just keep praying for this United States, for the leadership. God is the one that puts the leadership into place. Whether we like it or not, He's the one that places it. So therefore, we need to pray that these leaders will be true leaders and will learn to be godly.
Absolutely. All right. God bless everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.